Welcome to Volvo's first sportish luxury sedan. Designed for safety, built for driving pleasure. This is the story of the Volvo S80 Mark I. Volvo was founded in 1911 and they started out by producing ball bearings. They decided to name their company after a Latin phrase, specifically the phrase I roll, which in Latin is volvere. In 1924 they shifted their focus to cars and, well, let's just say they had a couple of ideas. Volvo had gotten a bit of a reputation in the last couple of years for making safe and boring cars. A reputation they were desperate to get rid of. So what they did was they decided to go racing. Specifically, race in the BTCC. And they did so with one of the most recognizable models of all time, the 850R Estate. A lot of people seem to remember the 850R specifically as the estate car from BTCC. But this body style was only used for 1 year. Its least successful year, I might add, since they placed 8th in the Manufacturers' Championship, and in 1995 and 1996, when they decided to use the sedan, they ended 3rd. As the design director for Volvo since 1991, it was his job to make the next generation of Volvo more interesting. And he did so by employing a couple of radical changes. Gone would be the simple, practical box-like shapes, and in was the intertwining philosophy of strength, practicality and sportiness. The first production car that was made under this philosophy was the S40. The S40 was developed in conjunction with Mitsubishi, which would make their very own D-segment sedan, the Charisma. But only in name was the Mitsubishi more charismatic. Volvo also decided to make the S40 into a BTCC racer, with one of the best sounding engines ever made. They've won the Drivers' Championship in 1998 with Rickard Waddell. Now that you're up to speed, it's time to go back a little and visit the inspiration for the S80. The Volvo Ecc Concept Car is where the S80 starts to take shape. It was a design study by Volvo to see what a luxury sedan might look like in the year 2000. Looks surprisingly similar, doesn't it? The ECC, or Environmental Concept Car, had a hybrid system on board which consisted of a gas turbine engine that would charge up the electric battery. With a maximum combined output of 96 horsepower, it was never going to be a fast car, but with its extremely low drag coefficient of 0.23, it would accelerate to 100 km an hour in about 12.5 seconds and have a top speed of 175. For comparison, a modern-day Tesla Model 3 or a Porsche Taycan have the exact same drag coefficient. Volvo also made sure that the safety aspect was well represented, with the SIP system being introduced on the ECC and making sure that every seat, so all 5 seats, had a 3-point safety belt. The design department was also busy with the environmental impact the car would have, by using materials that have a low environmental impact and a high degree of recyclability. And Volvo was doing all this in 1992, back when their road cars still looked like this. In May of 1998, Volvo unveiled their new flagship sedan, the Volvo S80. And at first, the journalists were a bit baffled by it. They had come to expect quite a lot from Volvo, and one of the first things on that list was there would be an estate version. Something else they also didn't expect was the way it looked. For Volvo it was a radical departure for their usual box-like design to a sporty, sophisticated sedan. They also praised the way it handled, saying that it feels planted and responsive. Volvo themselves said that they were aiming for a new market with the S80, a market in which exclusivity is an important factor. How they were going to distinguish themselves from other luxury sedans was with safety and dynamic ride handling. Volvo were always very keen to display the safety of the car, so much so in fact that it took to page 24 of this brochure to not see the word safety anywhere. It is though a very compelling brochure, with Volvo clearly explaining their safety standards and how they implemented them. The whip system, for example, was introduced on the S80. A whiplash protection system that absorbed the impact from behind by moving the seat along with the impact. Their new navigation system was also introduced here, folding neatly out of the dashboard when you wanted to get directions. It came with a couple of 5- and 6-cylinder engines, 6 different choices of interior and 12 different sort of colors, back when it was still possible to get an actual color on a luxury sedan. And people love the S80. Within the first 8 months they already sold more than 60,000 units, or to put it in another perspective, more than all the Citroën C6s ever built combined. Twice over. The S80 kept on selling well, and in 2003 a minor facelift with a new grille and body-colored bumper strips was added, giving the Volvo a new and refreshed look. At the end of 2006, the first generation of the S80 had done its job. It succeeded in giving Volvo a new and more attractive perception of the brand, and unlike a lot of its rivals, was successful enough to get another generation. It also has aged rather beautifully as a design, with the facelifted versions especially looking quite a lot younger than they really are.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the S80 or one of its rivals. If you want to join this journey, then maybe consider subscribing, as this will make it possible for me to make more content like this. And as always, I will see you at the next stop.